What's up, YouTube? It's the Action Figure Grader coming back to you with another look at some really nice CAS, AFA, and UKG graded Star Wars figures. And we've got some more foreign variants, some Lily Lettys from Mexico, some Spanish Poch and PBP from Spain, of course. And as always, if you have a collection to sell, if it's loose, complete, ungraded, graded, whatever you got, mint on cards, if you want to sell it away from eBay, I put in touch sellers with buyers. That's all I do, and I do it free of charge. I just want to help people out. You can reach out to me at actionfiguregrader@gmail.com. Okay, let's go ahead and take a closer look. This one was an AFA 85 Death Squad Commander with the dark blue emblem. And you can see there the AFA labels it dark blue versus light blue. Standard Hong Kong, not a hard figure to find, but this is one I kind of want. I kind of want this one. I've only got a Lily Letty for this particular figure in an 80 grade, I believe. And I just would like to get a standard Hong Kong dark or light blue emblem. So this one was on my watch list, and it just didn't work out for me. I say that a lot. It's because I've spent a lot of money here lately, and I don't want to spend any money. But I am tracking them, and I like to make these videos so I can hopefully remember when the next one comes up when I do have some money. I say, okay, it went for $190, $150. So about 200 bucks is what I want to spend for a really nice high grade Death Squad Commander with a brand new AFA case in an 85 grade. Here was one I sent out to my Patreon supporters, and I thought it was a really good deal. It was here in the US, and I said, hey, I know it's an older case from UKG, but it's listed for $250. It's a UKG 85%. It's the no COO, which is a little tougher to find. These appeared on like Palatoys or Tri-Logo card backs. Very tough to find those. And this one looked super mint. I mean, it looked really, really clean. Look how clean the white is on this Stormtrooper. The hand paint, everything looked really, really nice. And so I was like, hey, look, you know, I know it's not a newer case style, but if you want a really clean Stormtrooper in high grade, I think you could do a lot worse than spending $250 on this. And there is a make an offer option. So one of my Patreon supporters did pick this up. They got it for $235. And quite honestly, I think that's a really good price, just given that an AFA 85, even in an older case style, if it's super white like this, you're going to be paying that, if not more. And an AFA 85 in a brand new case style sold last year for over $600, loose graded. So to me, $235 for that is a really good value, in my opinion, for a harder to find no COO Stormtrooper. Next up, we've got some UKG items I wanted to cover. We're going to start off with some of the standard license figures, non-kind of special, and then we're going to dig into the Spanish and Lily Lettys. The first one was a UKG 90% Hong Kong. So a standard Hong Kong, but new case style, and it looked really clean. I would say it looks like a 90, I guess. I mean, I don't know what's going on right there on the chest armor. That could just be a reflection. But it got the 90, and it looks nice. And that one did sell for big money, 400 pounds, which is 501 US dollars. Same seller also had at auction a Taiwan. And so here's the Taiwan with the darker belt. And I assume it's the V5 blaster. I don't know for sure. But that one looks every bit of a 90. I mean, this one was really nice. And this one was the harder to find Taiwan. And that one only sold for a little bit more money. It sold for 406 pounds, which is $510. So only $10 more UKG 90% Hong Kong versus the Taiwan in a UKG 90%. I just thought that was an interesting comparison since they both sold at the exact same time. And there wasn't a big premium associated with the Taiwan, which I always considered it to be harder to find and always a little bit more expensive. We're not talking drastic numbers, but I would say usually 20% pretty easily for a Taiwan in the same grade vis-a-vis the Hong Kong. So, in this case, it wasn't. It was only 10 bucks more. Next up, we had the dark brown paint Tusken Raider in a new case style AFA 85. And that one went for a lot more money than I expected, $260. So that's a big number to me for the dark brown paint. It's a little bit more than I was expecting on that. It did look super clean, though. I'll give you that. I mean, that was a really nice looking figure. 260 bucks took that one home. I was thinking maybe 180-ish, somewhere in there. But it cleared 180 very quickly and got all the way up to 260 bucks. Here's one that I do have in my collection. Same grading company, same grade. And I was curious to see where this one would sell. And I was expecting in the ballpark of $280. And so I wasn't too far off. It sold for $254 US dollars, 202 pounds. This is the dark brown pants Hong Kong COO skinny thumb version for Han Solo in his Hoth gear. And this is kind of a hard variant to find, quite honestly. In an AFA 85 with an archival case, one sold last year for $380. And so I was thinking, okay, well, there might be a slight discount there. And I was able to pick mine up for, I think it was after taxes, or I don't think I paid taxes. It was a Facebook purchase, friends and family, because it was kind of a trusted seller. But with shipping from the UK to here, I think I paid around $280. I could be wrong there, but that seems to be the number that sticks out to me. It could have been less. I don't remember, but I just wanted to get one. I love the pant color, and it really contrasts nicely with the other two variants in my collection, which I showed you already in a video. But that's just a cool variant. I just love that pant color. It's a very unique color scheme that you got to look out for. If you see a really clean one, ungraded, go ahead and grab it, because they definitely go for a lot of money. Next up, we're going to dig into the Spanish figures. This was the harder to find Spanish Poch version of Chewbacca. We all know how easy it is to find the Spanish PBP figure. There's two main variations for the Spanish PBP. The circle on the bottom of the foot. It's an EPM mark or EPM on the bottom of the foot. EPM is EPM. You can't say EPM mark, because I think you're saying mark twice. But EPM on the bottom of the foot, circle on foot, and then you have the floating D, Spanish PVP. This is the Spanish Poch with the Hong Kong CO. So harder to find this one. And you can see the telltale discoloration to the limbs on that one. And that's very common for the Spanish Poch. That one sold for big money. It sold for 167 pounds, which is $210, or about double what a high-grade Spanish PVP figure will set you back for Chewbacca. Next up was an interesting variant that I'd never really heard of before. I've seen the Spanish Poch Han Solo Bespin, but this was labeled as a spray buckle. So sprayed buckle there, and you can kind of see where the factory paint for a lot of these Spanish figures was very, very poor. And this is the case where they just sprayed really quickly on the belt buckle instead of like a nice clean look. And so the overspray goes all around that belt, or that hip belt for the Han Solo Poch. This is the Bespin Poch, and you can see all the wear to the hands, which is common. I mean, pale hands, sprayed belt buckle. It's just kind of an interesting variation. They gave it a 75, which was pretty generous in my opinion. This is really like a 70 in my opinion, but nevertheless, it's a cool variation. I just never seen it labeled as such. Sprayed buckle Han Solo Bespin with the sprayed buckle. So just kind of a unique label there that I had never seen before. That one sold for 187 pounds, which is $235. So big money on that one. Here's one that I really wanted. This was the Spanish Poch Dengar. It was graded UKG 75%, labeled as a red backpack. And you can see how red that backpack is relative to the kind of purplish armor there. So, again, I don't know if it's degraded paint or if it was truly a unique paint color that they used for this one. But they labeled it as the red backpack Spanish Poch. And, again, it's kind of a cool variation. It was UKG 75. Again, probably a little generous with the grading, just given all the paint wear to the front of his armor there. But no, I still wanted it, though, all right? I still wanted it. It was a cool figure. This one sold for 233 pounds, which is $293 US. So big money on that one. And, again, probably pretty close to 3 times what the Spanish PBP Paleface goes for. The Paleface later Spanish PBP is very easy to find for Dengar, or easier to find. But this one is the first time I've ever seen one labeled red backpack. So very cool variation. They also did have the Spanish PBP, but this is the pink face variation. First time I've ever seen this one before. It was a UKG 75. Again, probably very generous with the grading, given all the wear to the leg especially. But you can see very distinctly that the paint scheme had like a kind of a spray of a pink overspray versus just the standard pale face that we know and love with the dark purple armor. So another PBP variation for Dengar that I probably should have known about, or maybe I did know about and forgot already, which happens a lot given how old I am. But that was a cool variation. $335 for that one. $421 US is the conversion rate as of the time of the sale. So clearly the market says that this is an expensive and harder to find variant because, you know, a UKG 80% paleface PBP Dengar usually goes for about $100, 100 to 120 bucks max. But this one went for, you know, $300 more than that. And so it's a very tough variation to find, apparently, and certainly unique with that paint scheme on the face. Look how weird that looks. He kind of looks like an old Norman Rockwell painting or something. Is that his name? Rockefeller? I don't know. But, you know, those old 1950s paintings where it shows like a cherry-faced kid sitting around the fire waiting for Santa to come down. You know, that's what it kind of reminds me of. It just kind of looks 1950s with the face paint there. Next up is a Spanish PBP hard torso biker scout. That was an interesting variation. Now, typically they go for a lot more money. And I know that the Spanish PBP biker scout came with either the Kenner blaster or a Spanish PBP exclusive dark gray blaster. This one looks like the standard Kenner blaster. It's not. It looks lighter gray in color. There's a darker gray, very Spanish specific one that is very expensive. This one sold for 205 pounds, which is 257 US dollars. Just the PBP blaster for the biker scout can go for a lot of money. I mean, way more than what this sold for. So I just thought that was an interesting sale to show. Obviously it had yellowing to the torso on that one. Next up is always desirable YPS Imperial Stormtrooper. This is a Spanish figure. This was packed into a magazine called YPS, and it included this kind of bullpup AK-47 G.I. Joe style weapon. So it's very unique to that German magazine, YPS. And it came in like a baggie with the magazine and with this figure along with that bullpup AK-47. So this one sold for 160 pounds, which is 201 US dollars, UKG 80%. And that's about right. I have a couple of examples, and, you know, a little bit higher grade will set you back closer to $300 usually, maybe a little more. But to me, a UKG 80% with that weapon, that's a pretty good deal. That's nice to have. Very good figure. Next up was a Hammerhead PBP with his eyes looking right, UKG 85%, a very common figure. That one sold for 105 pounds, which is $131, about right again. These appeared on U.S. Made in Spain Kenner cards as well, so they're very plentiful. All of the Cantina creatures were made in Spain for the U.S. market, so Return of the Jedi cards. So you can find the Spanish PBP Hammerhead fairly easily. Now let's dig into the Lily Lettys. We had a UKG 80% Obi-Wan Kenobi. That one sold for 195 pounds, which is 245 US dollars, right in line with my expectations for fair market value for that one. Here is that Lily Letty R2-D2 graded UKG 60%, low grade, but they almost all are. They're almost all degraded. This one sold for 314 pounds, which is $394, probably a little higher than I expected. I was thinking more like 300 to 350, so it went a little bit higher than I expected on that one. Here is a Regresso dark brown snake Pac-Man eyes Lily Letty Yoda. So this is the later version of the Lily Letty Yoda. There's a Returno version that has kind of reddish brown eyes. That's a lot more desirable, very expensive. This one sold for $208, UKG 75%. Next up, we had some Last 17 to round things out. This was the Imperial Gunner, graded UKG 85%. That sold for 272 pounds, which is $345. Then we also had an Amanaman, graded CAS 90%. This one sold down in Australia for 492 Australian dollars, which is 320 US. And quite honestly, that to me seems like a really good deal for a 90 grade. I don't care if it's a UKG, AFA, or CAS 90. If you get one of those for 320, I would take it personally. That's a really good value. I always find it weird that CAS has him kind of levitating inside the case on like a little platform, but he's kind of like levitating, like, you know, Luke Skywalker Jedi Knight, you know, in Jabba's palace decided to kind of levitate him. I don't know why they do that, but that's fine. I mean, I don't know if it really matters, but you know, it's a big figure already, and having him levitate just makes the case even bigger than it needs to be. But that's my personal opinion on it. But anyway, $320 for that. Again, CAS 90, kind of hard to beat that price. Finally, here was that UKG 90% Yak Face old case style that Brian's Toys had in an auction that I featured in a What to Buy video. That one did sell for $637, which to me, that's a bargain. I mean, at least over here in the U.S., I can only speak to the U.S. eBay. I see them sell very regularly now for about this price, if not more sometimes. So to get a UKG 90%, even though it's the older case style, that's a price that I would definitely be willing to pay. So if you happen to pick that one up, you got a pretty good deal, in my opinion. Yak faces have jumped up in price. We talk about that all the time, at least over here in the US. And to get it for, you know, basically what a loose one goes for now sometimes, not a bad deal. Not a bad deal at all. Anyway, that's all I really had for some loose graded gems on eBay. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please leave a like if you did like the video. Thanks again for watching, and I'll be back soon.